Sorry that I missed your opening address. I'm just wondering, I suppose, about shovel-ready projects in my area. Could I ask you about the, what stage the N4, the Carrick-on-Shannon, the bypass in Carrick-on-Shannon, if that's part of, there's just three ones, at the N17 then, the Clooney to Knock phase, and also the N15 from Sligo to Donegal, if possible.
I'll start with the N4 Carrick-on-Shannon. That has received funding over the last 5 years. The planning and design is getting towards the end of that phase. So we would hope that the local authority would submit a proposal for gate approval early next year, and that we will be in a position to get that into on board Planola during the year. So that one is moving quite.
This is the bypass in Carrick.
The bypass of Carrick-on-Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's up to, so Leitrim County Council know that, I'm sure that they have to.
Yeah. They're we're actively engaging with Leitrim County Council, and it's been delivered actually by another RDO on behalf of the County Council, but the design is at a very advanced stage, so we are aiming to get gate approval and planning next year.
And when does, sorry, I know that I missed the opening address, but what's the anticipated kind of timeline once you get approval, for a project like that, I suppose? Yeah,
well, first of all, it takes between 5 and 7 years to actually get to the point of submitting it for approval in the first place. Then it's the oral hearing, however long, and then the planning, if we get approval through on Commission Planola. Once it's approved then, and if there's no judicial review, then we prepare the contract documents and go to tender, subject to funding, of course. It takes about 1.5 years after the approval process to actually get through the tender process and get to the point where you would have a contract on the ground. So
would you estimate, what's, if the stage that they're at now, though, what estimation would you think that you...
So I'd say on the Carrick-on-Shannon bypass, if we get the submission in next year, it would take about another 2 years, provided there's no judicial reviews, to get to the commencement of construction. Approximately.
So when people say that, I'm just looking at the North West Regional Assembly report on transport infrastructure there, that there was none in Sligo that were, or in my region, I suppose, Sligo Leitrim area, that were shovel ready. And I suppose when it said it's shovel ready, we say the N17. I thought that was going to assume that was going to be shovel ready for this. I suppose under this.
Shovel ready means, well, I look at shovel ready as being ready to actually start the construction element of it.
Yeah.
So those projects are not shovel ready in that to that extent, because they have to go through a whole planning, design and approval process, and they have to get planning permission to construct.
So the N17, that's at a further stage.
Yeah, the N17 is there's been a lot of work done on that scheme in-house in Sligo. There is an identified preferred route. We're in the process of developing the planning and developing the design of that, the detail of it. But that will take a number of years, because there will be environmental surveys, there will be a lot of design work to be done. So you're talking about 2 to 3 years before that would be in a position to actually go in for planning in the first place.
So that's years away.
Yeah, so it is. Now, it is a very long route as well, so there may be, we may break it down once, into sections. But at the moment, the plan is to appoint consultants to bring it through, develop the design, and move into the planning process. So that's where that is.
So that's way, and I suppose in terms of balanced development, that the Northwest has been downgraded to a lagging region, and a lot of it is because of infrastructure, and that's what's came very. So the N15, what about the N15? Is that
to Sligo,
Donegal, up the Donegal road?
Well, we do have not that particular section, but the 10T in Donegal, which is quite a
which is
project.
good. Yeah.
They will be submitted for planning permission. We've gotten through the gate approval process, so we've got approval to submit it for planning. So that will be submitted for planning in probably the first quarter of next year. So and then it'll go through the planning process, and the outcome of that will determine, when it can be constructed.
And is there any way? Oh, thank you for that, Jordan. And is there any way of, progressing the projects? Is there any way of what's the condition for some projects to become shovel ready more than others? Like we say the N17, it's like we've been waiting for that for a long time, you know, from that run. And, you know, it goes so far and there's a lot of accidents on that road. Like we saw the N4 that, you know, from up to Castle Baldwin, like that has completely transformed because there were so many accidents and it was so obvious with the white crosses along that route, just because of how dangerous the road was. But the N17 is a very dangerous road, and is like, what are the conditions? I know besides money, but is it the use of the roads? Is it other available transport opportunities? Or is there a way that areas like the Northwest could be positively discriminated against because of of other available transport options?
I suppose there's no short answer to that. The way it's prioritised at the moment is what's identified in the National Development Plan. But feeding into that, obviously, a lot of the main links now are either there or at construction. So there is an emphasis on the connections to the west and to the north, because they're the sections of the network that haven't been addressed, that aren't, you know, currently done. So I think the programme will move to start to address those connections outside of the main corridors. But again, it's what is listed in the NDP and the level of funding that we get. And it does take quite a long time to bring these projects through from the start to achieving planning permission. It can take up to 20 years from start to having it completed on the ground.
And what are the delays? Like, why are they, you know, like 20 years is a very long time.
It is, but it's the level of investigation in terms of environment. It's the various challenges that come along. It's the level of funding to continue the progression of the projects. It's the level of engagement that is required. So there is a lot to getting these projects from start to finish.